time to abandon ship.
Oh no!
Here we go!
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition.
Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, and we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and our second episode, going back through time to look at all the different trailers that we've had from movie to movie, from show to show. And this week we're starting at the very beginning with Star Wars The Holiday Special. That's right. Although we got nothing to show for that. So, we'll be talking about other things. Going up through time, meeting all the way up to the canceled Star Wars Detour show and taking a look at everything in between with Star Wars and the teaser trailers that we've come to know and love, introducing us to moment at a time for all these different television shows through history. Let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
And joining us today is your co-host, Blake. Welcome back.
Hello there. Hey, good to be back.
Chut chut.
That's right. Chut chut. Chut chut, Watto.
Chut chut. I had a good time trying to name the episode that we did last week, which we took a look at all of the teaser trailers for the Star Wars theatrical releases.
That's right. That's right.
Now I've kind of narrowed it down to a two-parter because there's so many TV shows now that there's honestly just no way to cover everything in one single podcast episode for television shows and their teaser trailers. But additionally to that, not every single television show had a teaser trailer that was available online.
There had to have existed, though.
Right, yeah. It's just like some of them were network specials, and not everyone wanted to record networks, those kind of teaser trailers just on their precious VHS tapes back in the day. So,
Right.
So yeah, Journey Through Time, the teasers of Star Wars. That's what we're calling this new sub-series. And this is the second one. We're taking a look at all of these TV shows. Going all the way back to the television special for Star Wars, the Holiday Special. What do you remember about the Holiday Special? This came out in 1978, so neither of us were born yet. But what was your first memory of being exposed to this piece of glory?
Oh, man. So I was at university, first year university, straight out of high school, and someone had mentioned this, and I had no idea it existed. And so I got my roommates, and we all sat down just before the Christmas holidays, and I forced us all to watch it. And it was a long watch, and I guarantee you I'm the only one that's rewatched it since then.
Why even rewatch it, man? Like
Dude, well, we keep like reviewing it and stuff. Like I watched it that time, and then admittedly I watched it at least once more on my own. I don't know why. And then I feel like the reason why I end up rewatching it, because I've seen it at least 4 times at this point, maybe 5. And the reason why is you tell people about it and they just don't believe you. And so you all watch it as a group with how bad it's going to be.
That's the thing, is like people don't believe how ridiculous it is sometimes because
it's the original cast.
Yeah, and you talk about the scenes where is it Chewie's uncle or something like that gets like hard up on the hologram for the whatever you want to call it, like the VR set that he's wearing. It's
That's
just
right.
unbelievable, man. It's like kids watch this, like it's not like there's any actual nudity or anything like that, but it's like the
It's
idea.
like burlesque.
Yeah.
It's Twi'lek like burlesque in VR. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, and it's they're suggesting some things with the whole.
Yeah, that's what burlesque is.
Yeah. So it was definitely an experience to see something like that. I was like, okay, this is intended for kids. This is intended for the whole family, actually. Being a holiday special. But
That's right.
Let me just play
Fun for the whole family.
Fun for the whole family. That's right. And being a plot that's based around Life Day, which is now well-known Star Wars holiday. It's basically like Star Wars version of Thanksgiving. That's kind of like the whole idea of it. So yeah, let's just take a quick listen to this. I took your advice, and we don't have a teaser trailer for this, but just so that people get the idea for what this is, we'll just play the first couple seconds of the special, and here we go. A CBS special presentation. So you got Han and Chewie and the Falcon.
That's it, I'm turning back. I know your family's waiting. I know it's an important day. All right, we'll give it a try. I'll set your coordinates. Won't jump far. I'll get you back there in time, pal. Trust me.
All right, so they're being pursued by Star Destroyers.
I'm going to light speed. That's the spirit. You'll be celebrating Life Day before you know it. Stand by. Here's where we say goodbye to our unpleasant friends.
All right, and then you get the a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, ... Star Wars with a very janky font.
There it is.
Oh, there we go. Here we go.
Starring Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. Harrison Ford as Han Solo. Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia.
I love all
With
the
Anthony Daniels as
70s
C-3PO.
spotlights.
Yeah.
Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca. R2-D2 as R2-D2.
Come on, introducing.
And
Come on,
James Earl
introducing.
Jones as the voice of Darth Vader. Introducing
Do it.
Chewbacca's family.
Yes!
His wife Mala. His father Itchy.
There it is.
His son Lumpy.
Itchy and lumpy.
With special guest star Beatrice Arthur, Art Carney, Diane Carroll, the Jefferson Starship,
This is like an actual band, right?
Harvey Korman,
Yeah, it is. They sang the song Jane.
and an animated Star Wars story on the Star Wars Holiday
Boba Fett.
Special.
That's right.
The Star
Dang.
Wars Holiday Special is brought to you by
I think they edited out the ad.
Yeah, you know what? This is a cool version because it contains all the original ads from back in the day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. I love how the exterior shots of Chewie's home is just Ralph McQuarrie's artwork that they
Right.
present in a frame that they kind of zoom into. Kind of like those old 2D cartoons you might watch in the 80s, right? They just take like a big
they're all
painting and
same with anime.
Yeah.
And that's like a traditional anime thing where it's just a still image and they pan in.
yeah. So what we're listening to right now is just the Wookiee family hanging out at home.
To be fair, that's 80% of the whole film. So
Yeah. Well, and sadly enough, we actually did a commentary track for the holiday special. And
if you ever want to torture someone,
Yeah.
or if you want to see if you have the willpower, listeners out there, feel free to give it a listen.
that's right. Yeah. Not our best, but I mean, yeah. At the same time, what's there to talk about, right? I mean,
There's always stuff to talk about. That's why we're 200 something episodes in a podcast.
yeah, that's right, I guess. So yeah, some interesting things to note about the holiday special is, obviously it's notorious for its extreme negative reception, and has never been broadcast nor officially released at home video. It's become somewhat of a cultural legend due to the underground quality of its existence, and has been viewed and distributed in off-air recordings made from its original telecast by fans as bootleg copies. It's also been uploaded to content-sharing websites. And in contrast, the animated segment that introduced Boba Fett for the very first time to the world, known as the Faithful Wookiee, is very positively received, and in 2021 was released on Disney Plus. And it was written by Lucas and produced by Toronto animation firm Nelvana Limited, which later produced the Droids and Ewoks cartoon series, which were 2 Saturday morning series based on the franchise in 1985 on ABC Network. Lucas requested that the visual style be inspired by Mobius. The vocal talents of the main cast are featured, intended as an in-universe flashback. Luke wears a yellow jacket similar to his outfit in the end of A New Hope. And Life Day has become a huge thing. I mean, there's a Marvel Star Wars comic special which came out called Life Day. I think it was about a year ago, maybe a couple months back. And then obviously the Faithful Wookiee. I think we talked about that in the episode where we were talking to Jess from Boba Fett Fan Club. And
there's also the Lego movie, isn't there?
Yeah, there's also there's a Lego holiday special as well. The holiday special is just kind of lingered in the minds of Star Wars fans as not only being the worst thing that's ever come out of Star Wars, but it's also been somewhat of a joke, more of a joke than Jar Jar, because there's people out there who really love Jar Jar. I don't think anyone out there loves the holiday special, but it's I don't have any personal stories from the holiday special. All I can say was one day I finally decided to watch the whole thing, and that same day I was just as displeased with it as people had built it up for me. So
yeah, at least you went in expecting it to be bad. I went in expecting it to be really good.
Yeah, constantly I was just thinking,
This deal is getting worse all the time.
What have you signed up for?
What I signed up for, so at the very end,
This party's over.
Yeah, had to end the party. But
I don't think I can say it better myself, but I got 2 George Lucas quotes in regards to the holiday special here.
Let's do it up.
And so the one that he for sure said was, "Holiday special, Mama, it was garbage." And secondly, this one is allegedly he said, "If I had the time and a sledgehammer, I would track down every copy of that show and smash it."
Yes, that's a great one. I remember reading that too. That's fantastic, George quote. That's totally something you would say,
Oh man, yeah, 100%.
He hates it just as much. It just goes to show though, how I honestly think that it should have been a bit of a wake up call in terms of him selling the company and what they were going to do with it. I feel like this is why he tried to remain as creative consultant, but it wasn't necessarily in the contract that he had to stay on when they bought the company, which is why things ended up going south for him with episode 7. But it was a bit of an eye opener, because he had basically given the license to TV network, got some money for it obviously, but they were kind of had free roam to do what they wanted. And
next on Disney XD.
Yeah, it ended up just being like a total piece of garbage, right? And it's like, well, I mean, it's like lending someone your car and then they bring it back and it's like been busted up and been in an accident or something. It's like, right. Nothing's wrong.
And we have to keep in mind too that this is like the late 70s, early 80s time frame where George is a proper cinema director.
Mm-hmm.
He does really high-end films with a high budget. He's a part of that community. And television was always, what's the fastest, cheapest way we could do that, to just pump out episodes.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so really there's no way at that point in time that any television series could be up to the level of quality that he would have actually wanted to do.
Right, and this has always been something in his mind. I mean, it's definitely worth noting as we kick this second podcast episode off in the series that episodics have always been a huge inspiration for George Lucas. I mean, doing Star Wars episodically, inspired by the old TV serials that he used to watch, has always been a big thing
Flash
to him.
Gordon.
And yeah, Flash Gordon, and I'm sure there was other things he watched back in the day that it kind of
Yeah, there's a lot of the old 50s like cowboy shows and stuff.
Right. Yeah, totally. Going into making his own stories, I mean that rubbed off quite a bit. So I think when the prequels were a thing, I mean there's definitely word circling around the block that he was going to do a live action Star Wars show at the time when he finished Revenge of the Sith. And the development for that, went through. They got a test going, and it didn't quite work out, and the show never happened. But there is.
I mean, that time frame is they just started doing digital film.
Yeah,
really,
totally.
Really like Attack of the Clones, right? So they had 2 movies under their belt, 2.5, I guess you could say. And then they try to do a full green screen show.
Yeah, it's
like
a lot
television.
of work, right? Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a big transition still.
It didn't quite work out visually. I think what he was, I think he wanted to do a lot more with the show visually than what the budget had to offer, I guess. And now with technology as it's advanced so much, I mean, it's been really cool to see him show up to set, in those photographs they've released for Mandalorian and Book of Boba and Ahsoka show and all that. Like, he pays them all a visit every now and again, and it's just been so cool to see. Like when he cradled Grogu, there's a photo of him cradling Grogu, and it's just the sweetest thing, man. Because it's like this is his legacy. This is what he wanted for Star Wars. Not only do people actually like these shows, like I don't know anyone who doesn't like those shows, but it's really done in the spirit of what he made. And technologically wise, I mean, it's really kind of been created in that realm of what he wanted to do, right? And now it's gotten to the point where it's been able to do that, and he's been able to pass the torch off to someone who he trained, and that's a huge deal. So I have a huge respect for the live action Star Wars shows done in that pipe and with stagecraft technology and stuff, basically making George's dreams come true. So. I mean, can't say it all started with the holiday special because he really didn't have anything to do with it. But
we say that, but one of these articles says he wrote it.
That was the animated section, I believe.
Oh, that's it. He didn't do the whole thing.
No, yeah. So he had more of a hand in the animated segment, but I think that also had to do with the fact that Boba Fett was coming out in Empire Strikes Back, and he wanted the world to be introduced to this mysterious figure, this bounty hunter that was going to be a big deal later. But the actual live action stuff, I don't think he had a whole lot of control in that situation. So why we're talking about it really is just, I mean, because we have no teaser trailer, but it was technically the first Star Wars TV thing ever. So if anyone has any stories to share about, if you saw a TV spot back in the day, and you've gotten, a personal story of how excited you were to see that holiday special after seeing the TV spot, send us an email or voicemail or whatever. Let us know, because we would love to hear all about your experience being exposed to this first ever Star Wars on TV, right? Not in the theatrical release, but like on the small screen. On the small screen, this was the first thing.
Yeah. Please reach out because we'd love to hear both if you had a good, like a positive or negative experience with it. We'd just love to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move up our timeline here to the next thing that came out on television for, at least on the small screen, that is. Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure in 1984. So, Return of the Jedi was I guess just behind this film, as this was just like the next thing, I guess, that George moved on to do. And he didn't direct this. He didn't really. I don't know if he had a whole lot to do with it. Again, it was just more like this is his company kind of producing the ordeal.
I think they filmed it right near the ranch, though.
They did.
So it was right near his place. So you probably could see them from his bedroom window.
Super low budget. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. 1984 American television spin-off film based in the Star Wars universe. It took place all on the moon of Endor, featured the Ewoks that we come to know in Return of the Jedi, who help 2 young human siblings as they try to locate their parents, known as Sindel and Mace. The film was given a limited international theatrical run, which it was retitled to Caravan of Courage, an Ewok Adventure. This is prominently known as the first time the Gorax was invented. And let's play the teaser trailer and take a listen to what this would sound like. MGM Home Video.
In a galaxy far, far away, a brother and sister search for their missing parents.
How are we gonna find them?
We will. Don't worry.
And fate leads them to the magical Ewoks.
We help you.
Now, a great adventure begins.
You hear that?
Let's get out of here. Look out behind you.
Sheer enchantment and excitement, says the Hollywood Reporter. From deadly traps to daring escapes.
That was close. You guys are great.
It's an action-packed motion picture featuring incredible special effects from the award-winning team of Industrial Light and Magic.
That's Mommy and Daddy.
Sometimes when you search for the impossible, an unbelievable adventure unfolds.
I wish we had furry creatures like you where I came from.
Don't miss the Ewok Adventure, now on video cassette from MGM UA Home Video.
All right. Well, that was interesting.
I don't know about you, but I am 100% forcing my kids to watch that.
You know what? If it's the first thing you show them from the whole Star Wars saga, I'm gonna be blown away. But no, technically those are not canon any longer. But it is interesting. It's worth noting. I think that's the first teaser trailer. I mean, it was really tough to dig this one up, but as someone thankfully uploaded it to YouTube, and we were able to get the
legit.
Load
I think a lot of these TV movies, I don't know if there's an actual teaser so much as just a trailer.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? That's the tricky things from back in the day. I mean, marketing isn't what it is now.
Especially for television.
Yeah, especially for television, totally. And when something came out on the small screen, it's not like what it is today, where the budget for TV shows has like skyrocketed, man. Like,
that's really in the last like 5 to 10 years, though.
Yeah, within the last 5 to 10 years, for sure. I mean, I think Game of Thrones set a whole new bar, and then
that's what it was.
Set the game, and then now it's just every
broke the ceiling.
Yeah, broke the ceiling, and now you got so many shows up that alley. I mean, Stranger Things all the way to The Mandalorian. Like almost any second show now is of a premium budget.
Because there was a point in time where I know, like Firefly was canceled, for example, by Fox because their budget was too high. Right. Even though, there's a whole debacle there, but that was their excuse for canceling it.
Yeah, and then they allowed Joss Whedon to wrap things up in a theatrical movie, which is pretty neat. But it is a world that's different. Even in the early 2000s, like you say, I mean, like things like that just didn't happen. That's part of the reason why the Underworld, like George's TV show, just didn't get off the ground because
that's exactly it. And I also can't help but think of like Doctor Who, which has done a fantastic job. I'm sure they have the budget is quite a better now, but with the original few seasons at the beginning, I'm sure it was very tight.
Oh yeah, pretty rough. Yeah, and it shows when you're watching a show like that. It's very, very small scale.
Yeah, everything is made of foam.
Yeah, everything's made of foam. The sets are
it's
cheap and small, and everything's practical. Everything's done with special effects and trying to avoid as much visual effects as possible. I mean, again, this was before our time. So anyone who has any fun stories about your first exposure to this teaser trailer, let us know. We'd love to hear about it. As far as the reception of this particular TV movie goes, certainly a lot better than the holiday special. But
man, if you watch those back to back, like it's night and day.
It's night and day. Yeah, like if you've never seen Caravan of Courage, it's tolerable. You know, it's actually kind of, if you watch it with a group, pop the popcorn, throw in the hot dogs, you know, bring out the pizza, the snacks, all that stuff is actually kind of fun. If you just make a lighthearted evening, let's watch a Star Wars thing we've never seen before, it's actually not half bad.
You know, I'm pretty sure that's what it said on the DVD case. You know, at the bottom it says the quote. This is like NBC reviewer, tolerable.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. You know, I'd be pressed to say that this had reviewers who went to see this in the theater, because it did say that it got a limited theatrical release.
That's cool. Probably like San Francisco, for example, probably like really close to the ranch, I would guess.
Yeah, I would imagine just like local theaters. I don't imagine this got anywhere close to being across the world or anything like that. But you know, just at a simple Google search, like looking up reviews for Caravan of Courage, the first link from fictionmachine.com said as it's from 2019, but it says, "Let us not confuse ourselves. Caravan of Courage is a terrible film. While some of its visual effects are remarkably effective." Well done, ILM. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely
shout out.
Dude, shout out to ILM. Yeah. So yeah, let's do another. Okay, commonsensemedia.org. I don't know if any parents out there are listening. They maybe use commonsense.org. You know, with your kids, trying to see like what's actually appropriate, because like the PG to PG-13 rating is sometimes a bit of a wide gap. So commonsense.org is pretty good about parents kind of like giving reviews to other parents saying like, "Hey, this is actually kind of good for your kid," or like whatever. What does it have to offer, right?
I'm impressed that Caravan of Courage is even on that website.
It is. I think just about anything is. There's a lot of TV shows, books, games, movies. It's actually quite well established. And kids say 1 star out of 5.
That's modern day kids though. I'm curious to see what kids from the 80s would actually say, because this would be, I bet you, as far as TV movies go, this is pretty high end.
You know,
I watched TV movies in the 90s, and they were pretty close to this, so it would have fit right in.
I would take this review with a grain of salt though, because it's only one. It's a single review, 1 star, and all it says is it's horrible, it's bad. This title has too much drinking, drugs, smoking, swearing. I don't think they're actually taking this seriously.
I don't think they even watched it.
No, man. Commonsense.org though says an age of 7 and up.
These Ewoks and all this crack.
Yeah. Common Sense says age 7 and up. They also give it a 2 out of 5 stars. So just one more star than the kid. Whoever that kid is, apparently they're 13 years old. So anyways, that's Caravan of Courage for you.
I think, what was the name of this website? Because I think all of our listeners should review bomb it and give it a positive review.
Commonsense.org.
Commonsense.org, Caravan of Courage. I think we need to spread the love. It's the greatest film we've ever seen. 5 stars.
5-star Caravan of Courage.
I would not be who I am today if not for Caravan of Courage. 5 stars.
Well, moving up a year, I mean, this movie was, I guess, good enough that it got a sequel, because the next year rolled around, and Mason Sindel starred in Ewoks: The Battle for Endor, which was released as a television film in 1985, which was co-written by Jim and Ken Wheat from a story by George Lucas. A sequel to The Caravan of Courage. It focused on Sindel, the human girl from the first movie, who, after being recently, a spoiler for the movie, all right? She gets orphaned. Like, her whole family just frickin' dies, like, within the first, 10 minutes of the movie. And she's orphaned, and joins the Ewoks in protecting their village after defeating the Marauders, who have taken control of the Endor moon. Very suspenseful plot. This one was way darker than the first one.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a lot darker. It was also, maybe it was just the plot. Maybe the actors, the child actors, had aged a bit. But I liked this film infinitely better than the first one.
Yeah.
And I just looking at the YouTube trailers for Caravan of Courage, there's 500 views, And for Ewoks Battle of Endor, there's 350,000 views.
There you go. Commonsense.org also gave it a 3 out of 5 star for scary violence. Like the first movie, it expanded Star Wars lore in a pretty positive way, though. Like the first one gave us the Gorax, which is this giant like monkey creature that eats the Ewoks, and that's also a
cave troll.
Yeah, cave troll. Yeah, it's also the reason why all the Ewoks have their traps set up on Endor for when the Empire shows up, because they're actually traps for this Gorax to protect their village, which kind of gave reason to this whole thing. But this movie also gave us something really cool, which has made its way into canon more recently, which was the Blurg, which is a creature that the Mandalorian has to ferociously try and learn to ride if he's to navigate the terrain of whatever that planet that he finds Grogu on, which that little Ugnaught guy mechanic teaches him how to ride it. So
we also find them on the Twi'lek homeworld.
That's right. That's right. In Clone Wars, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the Twi'leks rode them around as a form of transport as well. And let's take a listen to this trailer and get the idea for what this is all about.
On a far distant world of enchanting beauty, a family of lost travelers find shelter and friendship among the Ewoks, peaceful guardians of the forest. But the peace is shattered. An evil storm sweeps the planet Endor, threatening the Ewoks' very existence.
Run fast, run.
And a courageous Earthchild is left orphaned, hunted by the cruel armies of an insatiable warlord.
All I want is the power.
Don't be foolish. Do what he says.
It's a breathtaking adventure that soars to extremes of heroism and treachery.
There's no escape for you, my little one.
But there is hope. A shipwrecked adventurer and his speedy sidekick join forces with the Ewoks. Their mission? Penetrate a fortress of death and rescue their friend. It's a desperate scheme that unleashes the rage of a demented tyrant. From the creator of Star Wars comes a dazzling adventure, a timeless fable of courage and conflict, of bravery, innocence, and unspeakable evil, featuring Wilford Brimley and the visual mastery of George Lucas. Take a journey to the far reaches of your imagination. Ewoks, The Battle for Endor, coming to your family from MGM UA Home Video.
All right, well, that's the teaser for that. What do you think of that one?
I don't think the trailer does it justice.
Yeah, it is way better than the trailer makes it sound, but definitely it gave me vibes of like way more of a fantasy than a Star Wars movie at
100%, yeah. And it's neat how a lot of the ideas from this have grown, because a lot of the expanded universe of Star Wars is very fantasy. So in this, we are introduced to a character who then eventually was kind of turned into the inspiration for the Night Sisters.
Yeah, you get into, yeah, totally. Yeah, the whole Force kind of like witchcraft side of the Force was kind of introduced in a way with magic rings and spells and stuff. And those pirate,
she like transforms into a crow and stuff like that.
Totally, yeah, very like Maleficent vibes from that. Yeah,
it's very 80s fantasy for sure. Like if you've ever seen the fantasy movie with Tom Cruise.
No, I never saw that. No,
I think it's called Legend, but it's like very high fantasy.
Right.
Another one that would be a really good example to like this kind of take on, but in the Star Wars universe would be what's the name of that movie?
Like Willow?
Give me a second. I gotta Google it.
Right.
It's like super famous.
One thing that I really liked about this movie was it introduced that threat level that the first movie just didn't have. And it was only a year difference, but I feel like, I don't know, the story was just infinitely improved. All of the annoyance with the older brother was cut out, and after they all died and everything like that, and not to mention we saw like a giant fantasy style castle in this movie as well, which was pretty neat. The sets were pretty cool for that. It reminded me a lot of Duloc, from Shrek, like just like the sheer size and shape of it and the color and everything, which was kind of funny. And a lot more creatures. There was some nasty looking winged creatures in this that they have a bit of an encounter with, and just the villains in general, those pirate guys. They kind of reminded me of the ones from Mandalorian, like the dog-looking people that attack that innocent village, except they're even uglier. Like, it almost looks like their face was put in the microwave.
Yeah, it's because I feel like they're trying to be like Weequays, but they're like a dog version of a Weequay.
Yeah,
I found it. It was not coming to me, but the film I was thinking of is The Never-Ending Story.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, so I feel like if you mash that and Star Wars together, you get this, or like
Right.
mash like the Dark Crystal and Star Wars together, you get the Ewok Battle for Endor.
Right, yeah. We also got introduced to. I'm leaving this out for some. We can't forget about Teak, the little white rabbit creature that he's a bit of
super
a
speed.
He's got super speed. That's right. Yeah, he's introduced in this movie along with his friend Owen, who's is like an older guy human who's been stranded on Endor for quite some time, who's set up a home in a bit of a tree area.
He's my favorite character.
Yeah, he's quite funny. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. You kids better get to work. I got a hard day, and then he leaves and takes a nap.
yeah. It's a bit pretty refreshing to have like just a different human character in this movie that was just a bit more of a capable character holding part of the story together.
I think he's supposed to be like that, like beguzzled old wizard in the forest, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I again, before my time, but that teaser trailer would have gotten a lot of people hyped. Anyone who was hyped about the first one, and I would love to hear any stories that any of you guys have, if you do have any. So you know where to send them. But let's move up our game again here. We're kind of reaching the era of Star Wars animation and the success that came out of that. Star Wars Droids was kind of like a serial adventure with R2-D2 and C-3PO. 1985, it was a spin-off of the original Star Wars trilogy, focused on the exploits of the droids and between the events of Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, which is kind of interesting because Revenge of the Sith hadn't been out. That was way ahead of its. This was way ahead of its time in making something that happened before A New Hope, right? Like it just hadn't really been done before. The series was produced by Nelvana and on behalf of Lucasfilm and broadcast on ABC with its sister series Ewoks, which was part of the Ewoks and Droids Adventure Hour. So let's take a listen to this Star Wars Droids teaser and get a good dose of our 1985 here.
Coming this fall.
R2-D2, what are you doing? Oh, mad droid! Mad droid!
The news is out and everyone's excited. Droids are with us. Saturdays this fall.
You'll love it.
All right, well, that was very short. So yeah, TV
You'll
spot.
love it.
You'll love it. Yeah, that's a good TV spot. But I can't. Oh, sorry. Was that? Did I play the droids one? That was the droids one, right? Yeah. Let's also
That's
take a
what I
look.
watched.
Yeah, let's take a look at a listen to the Ewoks one as well.
Oh, you want to hammer them out because they came out at the same time?
They kind of. I guess Ewoks was 1986, like the year after. But yeah, you know what? The series ran. So Droids ran for one season with 13 half-hour episodes and an hour-long special broadcast in 1986, which serves as the finale. And then Ewoks got kicked off. So let's listen to that trailer, and then we can talk about them in conjunction.
Wicket the Warrior.
This fall, their new adventures will excite you.
So, you want to play rough, do ya?
Their spirit will surprise you, and their fun will delight you. Saturdays this fall on ABC, they're the all-new Ewoks, together.
That's more like it.
Okay, so again, I actually don't know if these were the first promo teasers. I know with the theatrical episode, we made an effort of only playing the first teaser trailers that were released for each film. going back this far with the TV shows, which are much less acclaimed, less known, some people don't even know that these existed. Finding the teaser trailers for the very first ones, that is, was very, very difficult. So we were just lucky that we found anything at all for this. So that right there could have been, something that might have played through the week. You might have been 7 years old at the breakfast table eating your Fruit Loops, and that would come on the TV, and it's like, oh, I got to tune in this Saturday. ABC Kids, Yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Did you see any of this back in the day? Growing up, this would have been on VHS and kind of been in that time of...
I have one obscure memory, and it's just, I don't know why, but it is just like ingrained in my head.
Mhm.
It's funny because I've never actually seen either of the series, but I was at my buddy's place. I think it was in between a hockey tournament. We had like a sleepover or whatever.
Yeah.
After one game, and went back to his place, hang out. And I remember I saw that it was a DVD copy, but it was Ewok Adventures, and it was Ewoks and then droids. And I remember vividly seeing this, like, what is this? Like, I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
And then we went and we played his paintball game on his television, and we never watched it. But I remember finding the DVD, like, really specifically.
So this must have been a reissue or something for it to be on DVD.
Yeah, that would have been. That would have been around like 2003 or 2004.
Interesting.
Probably, or in that area.
So I have also a bit of a weird, obscure memory of I think it was either Ewoks or droids, one of the two. We used to have a local hairdresser, like a barber shop. But they had a bit of a kid's corner. So when you walk in, you turn to the right, there was this little kind of nook area with a television and like a basket of toys and a carpeted kind of area with two chairs for parents to sit. And then there was the typical waiting room off to the left, which is quite small in front of the storefront window. And then there was a ramp that kind of went up along with a small stairway, 2 or 3 steps that goes up to the elevated tiled part, which is where you have about 6 or 8 booths, go into the back, with the chairs for the customers, to get their hair cut and stuff like that. But I just remember walking in, on occasion, there was I even remember some of the toys. They had like 1980s action figures for Ghostbusters. And they had it was the most obscure stuff. Like, so whoever owned this shop, because at the time I think this was maybe this show had come out maybe 15 to 17 years prior, kind of thing. So not like a crazy amount of time that, because Revenge of the Sith is now roughly that old. So not a crazy amount of time prior, and they had this show playing on the TV, and it was it was on VHS, I guess, and they just popped it in. They had it playing all day. So whoever worked at that barbershop at the time was probably either a big Star Wars fan, or maybe they just had these VHSs kicking around. They thought, oh well,
they grew up in the 80s.
Age appropriate, age appropriate. Let's just throw them on. The kids might like it or whatever. So that's my vague memory. So I never actually saw the whole show or anything like that. But it's worth noting, both of these shows are on Disney Plus. They did have the decency to put those on there for anyone who wants to enjoy it. But again, with these two shows, if any of you guys have any stories about them, we would love to hear it. And that's pretty much all we could dig up for droids and Ewoks.
I have to say though, there's such a nostalgia hit with those TV trailers.
Yeah.
It's like, it just reminds me of the 90s like so much.
Yeah, it really does, because a lot of that mid 80s, late 80s stuff rubbed off on the 90s quite a bit. It was a huge influence into the next decade, right?
Like, I was lucky where this is so like obscure, but my mom, she recorded the Yogi Bear Easter TV special, which was like a 1 hour movie, then like with ads is like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But it's very like fitting to this. They have like the TV like the ads and everything like super fast, and they cram in like ads and everything. But on top of that, for some reason why this always fits into my Star Wars nostalgia is this was at the time frame where they were selling the 90s special edition Star Wars toys.
Right.
And so, because I had this recorded on VHS, I would rewatch it like several times a year. And so I would see all these ads for like all these 90s like original Star Wars toys.
Yeah, that's
So it's all kind of like
it's all kind of
cobbled
jumbled,
together
right?
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, those of us who are just old enough, to remember. Well, not just old enough, but those of us who are old enough to remember clearly the 2000 to 2010 period, right? That was already almost, I guess, that was 2 decades ago, counting back, I guess, which is pretty nuts to think about. But that sort of time frame is kind of the same kind of block of time that we're talking about when we look back at these Ewok and droid shows compared to like kind of the era that we were growing up in. And so it wasn't that far back that it was weird, right? Like I remember going to a friend's house and it's like The Land Before Time. Anyway, you remember that?
Oh yeah. I love that.
It's just like the vibe of that kind of style animation with story writing stuff, kind of similar, right?
No, yeah, 100%. Like I was trying to find just now a trailer for the 2003 Clone Wars animated series.
Yeah.
I can only find fan versions, but it's kind of the same thing because like I feel like that transition between the 2D animated into the modern 3D animated, which is like all kids shows, I feel like now are 3D.
Yeah.
Or if they're 2D, they're done in 3D and rendered in 2D.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something different. Like you can just feel it between the two like styles, and so I don't know. Just watching these old trailers just like takes me back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so cool to look at all this stuff again. As far as the 2D Clone Wars series goes, that's kind of the next thing on the list. So it was quite a while before Star Wars did anything. I mean, like we mentioned with the theatrical episode, there was a huge block of time between Phantom Menace and Return of the Jedi, much like there was with this Ewoks cartoon series and Star Wars Clone Wars. Not the CG 3D animated series that came out in 2008. We're talking about the Genndy Tartakovsky 2003 Star Wars Clone Wars, right on Cartoon Network, also referred to as the Micro Series. It's also available on Disney Plus. And I'll play a little bit of audio from the
also
opening.
Disney Plus. That's news to me.
It is. In the original episodic format, I believe.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah. So let's just play a quick couple seconds, the first intro, because many of you who might have seen it before might recognize how each episode opens when you first watch it. So listen to this. All right, so what you heard there was it was basically a hologram-looking Star Wars title on a space background, and then it kind of disappears, and we hear the second kind of fuzziness. It's the Clone Wars just pops up, and the O for Clone Wars has that target kind of look to it, right?
Right.
Yeah. So and then it kind of hops into the episode, and the first one is Yoda riding his his like thing, his creature that he rides on the back of.
Like fire across the galaxy, the Clone Wars
Final
spread.
Fantasy chickens.
Yeah.
Man, I love this series, man. I love Samurai Jack too, though.
Yeah.
Just Genndy. He's just such a cool art style.
Yeah, it's so good, and anyone who just wants to, again, watch something new that they've never seen, you're a big Star Wars fan, just give it a go. It's like, to get through the whole show, I think it's like 2.5 hours, like to go through.
Seasons,
that's both seasons. Yeah, it's incredibly short because you used to watch these back in the day when they were airing on TV, right?
Yeah, so they were actually like commercial spots. So same as like SpongeBob. SpongeBob started as this, where it was like the 15 like 30-second in like TV spots like in between shows, right? So like instead of being a whole show on its own, it would be kind of played in between two other shows.
Yeah, so they could theoretically play these all day.
Yeah, is exactly it. But because they were released pretty slowly, because the Gandhi animated series was released in between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So that was supposed to be how you learned what happened in the Clone Wars leading into a Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that's right. It was the original canon before it was overwritten by the CG animated show, and told the stories of the emergence of Asajj Ventress, Anakin getting his scar, how he gets his new
knighted.
Yeah, his knighted. Yeah, all the basic stuff that you would want to know happens in this micro series, and that's what is referred to as now. It's called the micro series.
Yeah, comes to terms with losing his hand, introduces General Grievous, which I still don't hate me for it, but I still prefer this version of Grievous. It's just so cool.
How he just
like the
kills all
Jedi
the
assassin,
Jedi.
the Jedi assassin version of Grievous, where he like was this like everyone was afraid of him, right? Because he was like this sneaky assassin droid that would like he could like climb and like hide in like all the shadows and stuff, and like people couldn't sense him because he's a droid and stuff. It was badass. It was so badass.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
You will never understand until you watch the first reveal of General Grievous from the Gandhi animated series. This also has like the cool scene where like Mace Windu single-handedly takes down like 10,000 battle droids.
Yeah, and actually recently, I'm gonna bring this up when we get around to talking about it, because we all just recently finished the Star Wars Brotherhood novel, and we're looking forward to chatting about that in detail. But there was
There's a reference there, right?
Yes, there was a reference to that. It was an Easter egg.
I thought that's what it was talking about.
Yeah, it was like a canon Easter egg to referencing Mace Windu just destroying all those battle droids on Dantooine. And I was like,
yeah,
oh
that's right.
my
I saw that quote.
Like,
I was like, is that what I think it is?
Yeah. I was like, oh, that is absolutely awesome, because so many people absolutely love the micro series, and even though we weren't able to find a teaser trailer on this, the hype for it is still pretty real. A lot of Star Wars fans have huge respect for. I know Bryce absolutely loves the micro series.
Yeah.
So I owned the DVDs for these shortly after the whole thing kind of wrapped. It was when
I had those as well.
Yeah, and then I sadly kind of gave them away to some cousins of mine. But I was, or maybe it was just family friends or something. But I didn't watch them too much anymore, and I was like, you know what? I'm big into the 3D show. This was around season 3 or 4, and of the Clone Wars, and I was like, I don't think I'll ever really watch these again. So here you go. And then there was a short phase of my life where I was like, dang, why did I give those away? And
those are cool. I like
yeah. And then now they're available on Disney Plus. So you can find them with the Star Wars Vintage banner. And you can watch them in the Star Wars section.
Is there just like almost you can think like a watermark over top that just says like legends for the entire series?
You know what's awesome about these? What's awesome about these 2D cartoons is they hold up incredibly well with the resolution, because they're all two-dimensional, right? So when they do any kind of AI upscaling and all this stuff to get it to be in HD
just
resolution,
crisp it up a bit, right?
Yeah, it's
edging.
It's totally it's just edging, right? And it handles it so well, because there's no weird kind of like lighting shading on people and this and that. The weird kind of issues that you might get with pixelation from a dimly lit room with an old vintage camera, and plus all these other things. Like if you watch an old movie from the 80s, you get that problem. But
it's so funny.
Amazing. It's
funny that is the exact same problem we have now with movies that were done on film versus movies that are digital. Because when it's recorded digital, all you have is that recorded hard data. But if it's film, you can always like go back to the original footage and you can up-res it.
Yeah. I don't really fully know the science behind how that all works. There's engineers much more smart than I am when it comes to how that works, but yeah, there is a certain quality that actual film is able to deliver that today. Yeah, it's all digital. It's like you're capturing a certain amount of set data, and you can AI upscale. Like it happens, right? Like things are retroactively upgraded to 4K, even though they were filmed in 1080 or 2K or whatever. A lot of stuff these days is actually filmed for 2K and then later upscaled to 4K. So what you're watching most of the time in the theater is been upgraded like after the fact. But it is what it is, and if it works, right. But one thing that's super nice about these animated shows, they just hold up so well. The quality is just all there, and you could be watching it at like 480p and like a really crappy kind of resolution, it would still look pretty crisp because the colors are all just so basic, right?
That's true.
So
you know what? It just dawned on me right now. We could do 2 podcast episodes, 1 season each of the Genndy Tartakovsky.
Oh yeah,
animated
absolutely,
series.
yeah, for sure. We'll call it the Star Wars Vintage Revisit or something. Yeah.
Yeah, get Bryce in here. That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, you guys can look forward to that. So yeah, I mean that's that. I've definitely had my memories with these as well. But we never had cable growing up in my house, so I don't remember seeing any particular trailer for
it was on
this.
Cartoon Network.
Yeah, exactly. Which was a paid for channel if you had cable or satellite.
It was satellite only. It wasn't cable. It's in Canada.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So
I had it, but that's because my dad had some like American satellite hookup. We had like this giant dish in our backyard. It was like it would be like 3 meters across, like 9 feet.
For communicating with the UFOs, right?
That's right.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got Nickelodeon and we got Cartoon Network, and I don't remember anything else because that's all I watched.
Amazing. Yeah, it's what a time to have that on TV, and it's a pretty cool series. I think because each section was so small, maybe there just wasn't a trailer or something, but I wasn't able to find any. But again, if anyone out there wants to shoot us an email or voicemail, let us know where we can find an original teaser trailer for that, or share any stories of your own when it comes to the 2D Clone Wars micro series. We'd love to hear. So that moves us into 2008 when the Clone Wars series came out, and we listened to the teaser trailer for the Clone Wars theatrical release back in the last podcast episode that we did for this series. This is the series that follows that theatrical release, kicking things off with season 1. Now the YouTube link that I've got here is actually all of the trailers combined. So we're going to go through section at a time, and starting with season 1, take a quick look at each of these, maybe share some stories that we might have for each of the seasons when we saw certain characters pop up for the first time. Because I remember a lot of my thoughts when I saw each of these teaser trailers. I would watch them over and over again. So let's take a quick listen to season 1 for the Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which debuted October 3rd, 2008.
This is where the fun begins.
That's where the fun begins.
In this war, a danger there is of losing who we are.
The ongoing stalemate in the war has become unacceptable.
The Separatist fleet commanded by General Grievous is headed your way.
Goodbye, Jedi!
Rush not into fights. Long is the war. Only by surviving it will you prevail.
The enemy ship is closing.
You wanted excitement.
Let the Republic go!
Skywalker is leading the mission. Do not underestimate him.
There he goes again, craving adventure and excitement.
You get used to it.
Give it everything you've got! Subtlety has never been one of your strong points. All part of the plan, Master.
Your friends won't hurt you!
You can't defeat us all.
Of course I can!
Get those fighters off of us!
Your fancy flying is making it difficult.
Hang in there!
Twice the trouble they have become.
Weapons do not win battles. Your mind, powerful it is.
Now you fall, as all Jedi must.
My stars!
We need you, Anakin.
That was impressive.
Cartoon Network is proud to present Star Wars: The Clone Wars. With a new adventure every week, their galaxy isn't far, far away anymore. This fall, the Force will be with you.
That's my master.
That's awesome. I remember seeing that trailer and I was blown away, man. Like that music editing between what was it, episode 2 to episode 5, back to episode 3 music, and then up to episode 1, Duel of Fates. Like, it's just absolutely all over the place. It's amazing. The amount of shots that were so cinematic. It was like an animated show I'd never seen before in my life. And at this time, I did see the theatrical release, of course. So I was very much looking forward to the continuation of that story. But I just remember thinking to myself, this is amazing. Like I can look forward to Star Wars on TV every single week.
Yeah, that was a big line, hey?
Yeah, it was a big deal.
New episode every week.
Yeah, it was crazy, right? And you know, at the time, it was on CTV as well for a very short time, and then it became a Cartoon Network exclusive. But yeah, for a short while, for the first 3 episodes, I was able to watch it at home, and then that was I tuned into a very sad like evening news one night when it was like, oh, Clone Wars is supposed to be on, they just didn't come on again. I was like,
they never announced it. They was just cut it, right?
Yeah, they never actually. Yeah, exactly. And it's not like the internet is now, where I flick over the news feed on my Android phone and it would just be a headline, right? And you know that wasn't a thing back then. So, yeah. But you got any stories from this when this came out?
I gotta admit, I do have an admission here. I have never seen these trailers before,
really,
except for the.
You've seen the newer ones.
I've seen the newest one, right? For like after it was saved, because I didn't get into it until it was canceled.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good point. So based on my stories then from just like, you know, having watched this trailer, I can recollect seeing Kit Fisto in this trailer fighting Grievous.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking like, oh dang, that's cool. Like, you know, we get to see Kit Fisto, you know, doing some action. There was a lot of like a lot more Anakin action. We actually got some hints that this would be the real full story between episodes 2 and 3 that we just didn't quite get that level of depth from the micro series, which gave us all the essentials, but it didn't give us quite like the character of it's not like you can break down character for that micro series. It's really just kind of like on the surface basic, cool to look at, you know, just a great kind of sit down, you watch it, good story for 2.5 hours, and then it's kind of done, right?
Yeah. That being said, the Genndy Tartakovsky series started earlier in the Clone Wars than the 3D one did.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's why I love the more recent book that we read, which is called Brotherhood, because it kind of helped bridge the gap between Attack of the Clones and the Clone Wars series when it kicks off. In the expanded universe, there was a set of novels that did take place in that gap, but yeah, I always was a bit confused. Why are we starting so much later after Attack of the Clones than right up at the border, right?
Yeah, the big thing is Anakin is already a knight. He's no longer a Padawan.
That's right. Yeah. So we never got to see that transition. We never got to see how he gets his scar. We never got to see the intro to Ventress like we did in the 2D series. Things with the theatrical Clone Wars release plus this opening season 1 was just kind of threw us headfirst into the Clone Wars, much like the Star Wars episodes did to us, you know, with all the movies. And they just kind of eventually work out the details later. And to this day, we've never had quite that neck and neck bridge, you know, not like how Rogue One sends you right into A New Hope, right? Which I think a lot of us is what we were hoping for. And especially after the micro series, you almost kind of expect it.
Yeah, I was very surprised by that. Like, it felt like it was starting in the middle, or like, well, ironically, season 1 was very scattered in its timeline, where it just felt like these adventures could happen at any point in the war.
Exactly. Yeah. And if anyone does go through Clone Wars at a later time, like today, there is a chronological viewing order, which is a complete mess, but it is kind of the recommended way to watch the show because it puts episodes in the right place at the right viewing order. So there's characters that die that eventually show up again. It's like, oh, what happened there? And it's actually because the episode takes place earlier in the viewing.
Looking at you, Echo.
So yeah, Echo's a great example of that. Or Heavy or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, all the main clones.
Yeah, all the main clones. Yeah, totally. There's also relations between Yoda and the King of Tordaria that take place at some point. And later on, I think it's in season 3 that Dooku sends Ventress sends Savage Opress to exact his revenge on the Tordarians for not siding with him in an episode in season 1. It's like, dang, that was quite a while ago. But if you watch them all in order, it kind of helps with that gap a little bit. So I always recommend chronological to anyone who's going through Clone Wars for the first time. It's a pain, but and you got to tick them off the list, otherwise you might accidentally skip one. But it is a great way to go through the show. And I have fond memories of this teaser trailer. So let's go to the next one here. So we're at 2 minutes and 16 seconds through this video. Season 2 is up next. Let's give it a go.
I have need of your services, bounty hunter. I need a Jedi holocron.
Sense deception, I do. You can count on it.
Count Dooku's new droid foundry. Jedi Council has to see this evidence.
My lord, we have 10 garrisons of new droids ready to deploy.
I remember a time when Jedi were not generals, but peacekeepers.
The safety of the Duchess Satine is of the utmost importance.
Wait a minute.
There's assassin probes down here. Were you and Satine ever... That would have been problematic.
I will take care of them.
Padawan, alert, you must be.
I sense something, Master.
It's the dark side, Ahsoka.
Have you completed your mission?
I have the Duchess.
Very good. Reinforcements are on their way.
Let's make this a bit more interesting. Inflict devastating damage on the Jedi Order. He could.
We must push on! Forward!
We suffer a great many losses in these battles.
I'll fight to my last breath to keep them safe.
I'll take care of this, Obi-Wan. You, go find your girlfriend. Right. But no, Anakin, she's not my...
For generations, my ancestors fought proudly as warriors against the Jedi. Defeat me or die like many Jedi before you.
All right, season 2 has a new vicious level to it, that's for sure. Especially with the emergence of the Mandalorians pre-Vizsla, the Death Watch.
Cad Bane.
Cad Bane, yeah, we got to kick things off in that teaser trailer with Cad Bane, which was pretty sweet.
Man, I always forget how early a lot of these characters show up.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and watching that
Death Watch is in the final season, like they're on forever.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? That's the payoff if you watch the whole show in chronological order, because it sets things in motion really early, but it also puts the order in a nice kind of way that it packages all together. Because I know season 1 and 2 sometimes can be slightly rougher for some people to get through, but they really set up like a lot of stuff for later. We also got an amazing Geonosis arc in season 2, which looked amazing. Like, it was fantastic. Ki-Adi-Mundi, we got to see him in action.
I admit I'm one of those people. I usually skip season 1. I think it's just the animation was done. It was really rushed because they obviously like their schedule. They had to build all the assets on top of.
Oh yeah.
Actually doing all the episodes.
Yeah.
And I just find it so hard to watch.
You can
so I
feel.
usually skip to season 2.
You can feel the quality of season 2 is just so much higher
Oh
already.
yeah,
Right?
it was such a big step forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a really big shame that the movie has the same animation as season 1.
Yeah, that is too bad. I feel like if that whole part of the show that was to be redone, knowing that they had only 6 to 7 seasons to work with, the whole thing I think would have been arranged differently. As far as like the kind of stories that they approached at times, would just be less filler. Yeah, absolutely. Because I hate to think that there is filler episodes, but there is.
Anytime you have a season of 24 episodes, there's going to be filler.
Yeah,
that's just how it is.
It's just how it is. Yeah, I really appreciate kind of the smaller seasons that we've been getting from Disney Plus and some of these shows. Like, I wish the episodes were longer, but the season length I'm totally fine with because they're bingeable, right? Yeah. In one night, Diego and I were binging Book of Boba. We started at like 9 p.m. We went pretty late into the morning, but it was doable, right? It was not like we were sitting there for days on end. Yeah, you can do it in one sitting.
Long movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like watching. And Smallville's one of my favorite shows ever, and that's a long one to get through because each season is 24 episodes, and they're all 45 minutes per episode. Like you cannot sit there and watch a whole season in a day.
It's a lot.
There's just no way you can do it.
And the thing is, when you are working with a set number of episodes like that, the writers, they can't write the story specifically for that, so they have to fill in gaps or they have to rush to get the story that they want because they have a set amount of time that they have to fill regardless, right?
Right.
Whereas if you're doing like these are called micro series, when they have just kind of arbitrary numbers, usually there's between 3 and like 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Then you just write to the story. It's all about it's like a film, right? Too. You write the story, and however long it is how long it is.
Right. Yeah. It's
that
much
really
better.
Became a big thing. Yeah. Oh, I agree. And then you also have more turnover, right? So then, if you put that much money into just a handful of episodes instead of trying to pump out filler, you just move on to the next story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why we're getting so many different series on Disney Plus right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Season 2, it's worth noting, this really focused in on bringing bounty hunters and that underworld to the Clone Wars, which is a huge deal because later on in the Clone Wars, we have a lot more bounty hunter arcs, some of which are some of the best arcs in the whole show, featuring like a younger Boba Fett and all that, and really speaks volumes to, I think, one of the lingering things as to why Clone Wars was so good compared to a show like, I hate to say it, but Bad Batch and Star Wars Rebels just don't quite get to that bar because they focus in on the same group of characters and they do it very serialized. Every single episode is just the next thing with the same group of characters, right? And what I loved about Clone Wars was that they did arcs, right? They did it was a 3-episode arc for a story, and then boom, you get another set of characters. It's another like 2 episodes or 3 episodes that it's like one big long story. So you could almost approach it from like a movie standpoint.
Yeah,
Someone could
say that.
Yeah, someone could go down the chronological list and literally circle 2 or 3 or 4 at once and go, you can watch these together or these together or these together, and it's the equivalent of one movie.
Yeah, it's kind of the same idea in a movie where you have like the A story and the B story.
Mm-hmm.
You cut back and forth, and that allows you to do time jumps and stuff that don't feel awkward.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas when you're in Star Wars Rebels, just as an example, because you only have 6 characters that are together all the time, you can't really do that. Like you can do it within an episode, but you can't do it between story arcs.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's season 2. Let's take a look at season 3. So we're at 5 minutes and 10 seconds through this video here. And I remember season 3 was a game changer. Let's take a listen.
We believe Grievous is planning a separatist attack on Camino.
Trapped on Ryloth, Master Dai and his men are.
After our attack, the chances of peace will disappear.
If we lose, Mandalore will indeed be lost.
I'll take on any job for the right price.
We have the Republic right where we want them.
We must stop the production of new clones.
This is personal for us clones. This is our war. My blood's boiling for a fight.
Your assassin. Eliminate her.
No! You have heard of the Sith warrior, Darth Maul?
Yes.
What if I could provide another of his kind? May I present Savage Opress?
Always in motion is the future, and many possible futures there are.
I'm your worst nightmare.
Stop him!
We shall prevail.
Who's that? Was Death Watch involved? The source of this evil may be more than you can handle.
Cordelia must remain neutral.
We could certainly use the powers of the Night Sisters against the Jedi.
Oh man, the cinematic quality of that trailer was just next level. I mean, we got first time ever that a show for Star Wars on television got a trailer with music that was kind of customized for the trailer. They used very trailer-oriented music. They didn't just pull from John Williams soundtracks. And the visuals were definitely, you could tell the animation is significantly better than the previous seasons.
Yeah, it was such a big step up in season 3.
Yeah,
I can't believe how much they showed.
yeah. I mean, we got the flashbacks with Asajj Ventress as a Jedi. We had Dooku in the political eye in the Separatists.
The reveal that Asajj Ventress is going to be let go.
Yeah,
Dooku's apprentice. That's such a big reveal.
That was a huge one. That was a huge one. We got the reveal of Savage Opress, of course. We got that whole. The beginning was really cool because we got to see Camino for the first time in animation. The video we're watching on YouTube is not very good quality, but the episode itself looks amazing. All the rain effects and the underwater squid ship that Ventress is hiding out in. It was so cool, man. Like everything about this trailer spoke volumes to me. And we got that Yoda quote. That always in motion is the future, and many possible futures there are. That was actually the grad quote that I used in the yearbook.
That's pretty funny.
I'm pretty sure it was that one. Yeah. This season really had an impact on me. I was like, this is a game changer. It's also the first season that when I started watching it, I very quickly realized that I think it was maybe halfway through. I was like, I don't dislike Ahsoka anymore. I actually quite like her at this point. And
at this point it has aged well, right?
Mm-hmm.
It started to like ferment into like a proper liqueur. Because I know when we first got the reveal and in the original release of the film, watching Ahsoka, like there was quite a revolt of fandom, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely one of the people that had a lot of questions, and I wasn't too fond of her snippiness. But that really got tamed down with this season, and they kind of aged her up a little bit. They gave her a new costume, which was a bit more like, less kind of young kid-ish, a little more mature for her level of ability and definitely set in stone a bit more respect, I think, from a lot of people. A lot of the characters got model changes. You know, Anakin's hair grew out a bit longer. They lost the chest armor, the clone bits and pieces that they used to wear. So it was really cool. It was definitely a game-changing season. I remember a lot of hype around this one. Let's take a look at the next one, season 4. That hard rock, so good.
The army has assembled, Count Dooku.
Proceed as planned.
The Mon Calamari system must not fall into Separatist hands. Prepare for an assault.
All troops, battle stations! This is your home. Do not let it fall.
Look out!
This isn't gonna be easy.
We'll disintegrate for sure!
Suck it up, Shiny.
Time to lock and load! I will attack the Naboo!
What?
Long have Sith empires been built upon the backs of slaves.
Anakin has struggled to put his past behind him.
I'll keep an eye on him.
Yes, make sure you do.
Bow down, Jedi filth.
Welcome to Death Watch!
Wow, the first reveal of Rex's badass helmet was pretty sweet, and you know, I remember thinking, oh, we finally get to see the Mon Calamari water war that we saw in the Micro series, which is pretty cool.
That's such a brief moment, though, isn't it? It's just Kit Fisto like swimming with a lightsaber.
It is. Well, it's a bit of a chunk. Like, I think it's a chunk of one of the little little bits or whatever. But I remember him like throwing Force like blast bubble balls like underwater and stuff, and you know, there was a whole segment. But I remember thinking like, oh wow, we finally get to see that war, like the one with the Mon Calamari versus the Corran. So that was really cool.
I love when they keep all that stuff canon.
Yeah, I loved how they brought that stuff back. Similar, like going back to the season 3 one, like there was a shot of Ventress in her original 2D micro series costume while she fights on Kamino against Anakin, and that was something I appreciated a lot for that single episode. But it's just really cool things seeing in this trailer. We got Pong Krell that was revealed.
So this is my favorite season.
Yeah.
There's so many, the trailer, you can tell there's, just from memory, there's so many cool arcs. And still the Pong Krell trilogy is my favorite in the whole series. It
sticks out. It's a highlight for sure. Yeah. Was there anything else that you spotted in this one that you really liked, or?
Just interesting that they really focused in on Anakin and like how he's just not able to move on.
The transition.
They try to really show that he is willing to do stuff that Jedi shouldn't to get the job done, and you can see kind of like the crack starting to form that's going to lead to Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, this trailer really highlights Anakin's kind of downfall a little bit. You know, not being able to let go of his past as a slave, dealing with the Zygerians and all that. That was really neat to finally see that kind of come to fruition in the show. Let's hit season 5 here and take a look at this one. This is also a really great one.
Something is stirring in the underworld. I fear it is a fertile place for Maul to flourish.
Let him play with the rabble.
It is of no relevance to the Senate compared to the Separatist threat.
Begin your attack.
This is war, Stila.
Onderon is ours, and we will keep reminding them until we get it back.
Stila is a born leader.
There will be more droids coming. Choose your targets wisely.
For the Republic!
Time is not on our side. We believe you five can get on board this Separatist dreadnought and steal that encryption module. You are our secret weapons.
There are some citizens of the Republic who believe the Jedi Order is not what it used to be.
If willing to destroy the temple, the attacker is. To great lengths they will go to keep from being caught.
We can help you reclaim Mandalore.
The resurrection of our warrior past is about to begin.
Mandalore will be yours, and Kenobi, this Sith pretender Dooku, and all our enemies will fall.
Watch out!
You are a clone and a soldier in the Republic Army. Our mission depends on it.
I sense a deep anger in you.
Everything that you fought so hard for will be destroyed.
Anakin!
Sometimes heroes fall, despite their strength.
For Mandalore!
Remember, there can only be two. And you are no longer my apprentice.
Oh man, this trailer, man, it got me so excited back in the day. This was worth noting that this is the last season that that Lucasfilm did kind of officially in its full length before it got canceled. But yeah, we saw the whole we saw so much stuff like Republic Commando, Sidious. I mean, you know, where to begin, right? Like there was so much stuff, more Death Watch action. We got so much Darth Maul in there. You know, it was absolutely amazing. More that Anakin darkness stuff. Like, oh, so good.
I can't believe they revealed Darth Maul like right away.
Well, that happened in the last season. So at the end of season 4, you know, he kind of got resurrected and stuff. But
that makes sense. We were already aware.
Yeah, so that was already a thing. But it was like this was kind of the season that like brought him out of the shadows and like, you know, this is going to be a main threat now, right?
Yeah, and then Palpatine's just like, let him deal with the common rabble. Don't worry about him.
Yeah, and I love how they start off the trailer with such a cinematic. Oh, dude, like the amount of shots in this teaser trailer, along with the music, that is just so well done. You know, and this so cool. This was also the first season that they brought in an orchestra for some of the episodes that they did, specifically the ones with Ahsoka, you know, and the Jedi Order bombing and all that. Yeah, I love how they hint about the people turning on the Jedi with, you know, the anti-clone signs and all that. They're sick of the war. It was just bringing that whole new level of like politics that Revenge of the Sith has with the whole turn of the galaxy into the show and really bridging the gap.
Yeah, how people were how went along so easily with Order 66 and just believing that the Jedi like turned on the Chancellor.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember seeing this trailer, and I was like, oh man, it blew my mind. It blew my mind, and I was so excited for it.
Like I said, like I'm surprised how many questions it answered, because like we got the reveal that at least you get the hint that Asajj Ventress becomes a bounty hunter. She's got her armor on. And then you got to see Palpatine in full combat, like attacking not only Darth Maul, but also you see that he's on Mandalore, and he's straight up attacking all the Death Watch as well on his way in.
That's right. Yeah. So the Shadow Collective that he puts together. This season, it's worth noting, as of I guess is this year. Actually, within the next 2 months, in September, it will have been 10 years since that season aired on television with its premiere episode, and it concluded in 2013. And shortly after, the Disney acquisition was swiftly canceled. The Clone Wars as soon as season 5 ended, and it was
so crazy.
The biggest heartbreak.
Just watching this trailer, you see how good it is.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just like, just show this trailer to anyone who you're trying to get to watch the Clone Wars. You show them season 5 trailer, and they will probably want to watch Clone Wars, right? So as a surprise to all of us, a little bit of a history is some time went by, and there were some episodes that were finished for season 6, which Disney released on Netflix because they didn't have their own streaming service at the time. So they released it on Netflix with a subtitle called Star Wars: The Clone Wars: The Lost Missions, which is effectively half of season 6. There would have been quite a few other episodes, and that's a whole other conversation that we've covered quite a few times before in Clone Wars Talk and various others. But it was at least throwing us a bone. It's like, okay, you got these finished anyways. Let's release it. So that brings us to the season 6 trailer, which was called Star Wars: The Lost Missions, which is at 13 minutes and 52 seconds in the video. So let's take a listen to that.
Yoda, my old friend, it is I, Qui-Gon Jinn.
The voice I hear does not come from within, but speaks from beyond.
You must complete what I could not. Come to Dagobah. The answers you seek are here.
Of the clone army, kept secret from us, Cypher DST. How this was done, we know not. Yet now, a new piece of the puzzle we have.
It seems he's had some sort of breakdown. He doesn't seem to remember what happened.
Protocol 66 must not be discovered by the Jedi.
Yes, Lord Tyrannus.
Our garrison has been attacked by the Separatists. I'm afraid I'm trapped.
Senator Amidala, you are under arrest for espionage.
You must face the gravest of journeys to Moribond, the ancient homeworld of the Sith.
Down! Thanks. It wasn't you I wanted to save.
There must be 100 droids in that hangar. This is stretching it even for you, sir.
Rex, you're beginning to sound like Obi-Wan.
Hello, CT-5555.
No clone uses that number. I am Fives. Call me Fives.
The difference is minimal.
Not to me. and not to any clone.
Yeah, Sypha Dyas, yeah, coming to Netflix in season 7. Yeah, Sypha Dyas, we got a Anakin Obi-Wan Dooku fight going on. Yoda, speaking of Qui-Gon, confronting the council about it. I mean, there was so much stuff to look forward to in this season. Did you watch this trailer back in the day? This was when you and I were, we just met at that point, going to school together.
I must have then, because I remember when we were going to school, there was something that came, some sort of Clone Wars thing that came up, and we watched it all together with some of our classmates. But I always felt like it was season 7, but it must have been season 6, because I remember you were super bummed that Clone Wars had just been canceled, and then I think it must have been this, because it was the big reveal that they were going to release what they had on Netflix.
Yeah, and I think it was around that point in which I was trying to get you to watch the show, because we had conversations about it, and then the new season was announced. It's like, oh, Clone Wars is coming back. It's the season 6 kind of lives, sort of thing.
Yeah, because there was the big thing, right? Like hashtag Save the Clone Wars or whatever.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, and that was, I think that was a thing around that point, which probably helped with releasing the finished episodes at least. But that hashtag really helped at least finish a half of a season again with season 7, which was many years later. More recently, with one of the being one of the shows that actually launched with Disney Plus, was quite a spectacle. But yeah, this season, I mean, it gave us quite a lot to look forward to in some of the essentials. I mean, Sypha Dyas was certainly a big one, because there were many questions, I think, for people who saw Attack of the Clones that was like, what the heck was the deal, right?
Yeah, because it's like this sentence that sets up the entire war, and then you never see anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was kind of cool to finally get answers to that. And
the other big question was, especially after this series, because I feel like the Gandhi series, it wasn't as much of an issue, but this series made the clones so personable that it became really hard to believe that Order 66 would work, that all the clones would just turn on their Jedi, their generals.
Exactly. That's the kind of the last highlight of that trailer is Protocol 66, right? Order 66. This trailer really reveals that Dooku actually had a hand in that as well, and that there was a lot more going on, and I think the season, even at one point, there's a whole arc where one of the clones, like their chip malfunctions in their head, they assassinate a Jedi by accident.
That's right.
Everything goes wrong, and it's just such a fantastic story. So this season really teased us well with this particular trailer, and gave us a lot of what we were looking forward to with the last kind of episodes for a good long while. Before the constant pestering of having the Clone Wars continue sort of began, which kind of brings us to the conclusion of Clone Wars, which season 7, the trailer that hyped up the whole world, which had at this point now come to love this show, as it was available through Netflix for a while, and a lot of people who didn't watch it back in the day on Cartoon Network were able to see it, and it kind of expanded its respect with Star Wars fans as the seasons got better over time, and it was at this point a huge deal. It was like kind of the only thing that kept Star Wars alive, and this was all kind of coming together with season 7. I mean, the sequels had kind of come out already at this point, or were coming out, but yeah, season 7, the trailer was released at one of the conventions. Do you remember which one it was?
Oh gosh, it was before episode 7. I know that. So, and that was.
Was it? No, because the season came out on Disney Plus, so I feel like the trailer was maybe
that would have been after then,
like 2019 or something like that.
That was the big gap.
Celebration.
It killed everything before episode 7 came out.
That's right. Yeah. So Clone Wars was canceled, like basically when Disney bought the company, and it was all those years later, 2019. In April at Celebration Chicago.
Wow, okay.
Celebration Chicago 2019. That's when it was announced. It was coming
Because Last
back.
Jedi is 2018, so this is after the Last Jedi.
Yeah, and Rise of Skywalker
dang,
was coming out December of 2019. So
Wow, that's so much later than I thought it was.
yeah, so this was teasing this show that would be releasing. I think the full show actually came out the following year in, I want to say 2020, I think it was. But the Clone Wars left Netflix at the time of the announcement for season 7. Which was at Chicago Celebration and in 2019. So the launch of that show though came out, November. Oh, sorry. The Disney Plus launched November 12th, 2019. Then Rise of Skywalker came out, and then Clone Wars season 7 came out a few months later.
Dang. Okay.
So it was like boom, 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 right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's like the whole article here about the hype around this final teaser. So let's take a. What was that?
Does that mean at this point, Star Wars Rebels had already finished its entire
Yes.
series?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So they did an entire show before they released the final season of Clone Wars.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm totally forgetting Star Wars Rebels. Yeah. I guess we'll throw that in the next podcast episode because we're running over time here. But let's take a listen to this is a 2-parter anyways because we gotta fill in all of the live action. Dude, there's so many Star Wars TV shows. There's definitely a part 2 to this sub series. So
it's a good time to be alive. Good time to be a Star Wars fan.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone, stay tuned for that second drop. But yeah, let's take a listen to this final trailer. This teaser trailer for Star Wars: The Clone Wars Season 7.
The name's Rex, but you'll call me Captain or Sir. War does not come with a guarantee. No soldier gets the promise of safety.
My designation is Trooper 27-5555, sir.
We call him Fives.
I'm Heavy.
This is Echo. I'm Commander Cody, your new boss.
Sir, yes, sir!
Looks like we got ourselves a batch of shinies, Commander. Look around. We're one and the same. Same heart, same blood. Your training is in your blood. And my blood's boiling for a fight. This is our home. Any idea this is our war.
This can't be good. We need to pull back. Get out the portals. If we can draw them out, we can see them. If we can see them, we can hit them.
The title card: A war left unfinished. ... until now. Just building up that hype.
All right, Rex. What's so important that you brought us all the way back here?
Hello, Master. It's been a while.
Oh man, it's so good. The hashtag Clone Wars saved right at the end is a little nod to all the fans that kept the show alive. Man, I remember watching videos of people freaking out live, as this premiered.
Yeah.
It celebrated the yeah. Just hear everyone.
Ewoks in the crowd.
Yeah. Oh man, all the Jar Jars and Ewoks in the crowd. It was absolutely unbelievable. The hype was. I've never been more excited for. I think. Other than more recently with some of the more, Kenobi obviously got me pretty hyped, and Mandalorian and all that. It's got me pretty excited, but I had never been quite as excited as I did when I saw that Clone Wars was coming back. Because for me, when Disney came in, wrecking ball swinging, canceling Clone Wars and everything, for me it was just like a heartbreak that they would cancel something that's so good and then put out something that I just didn't like. And and not to diss Rebels, because like Dave Filoni was intimately involved with that show too, but it just wasn't Clone Wars. It just wasn't what I grew up with. It wasn't the story that I'd come to love.
Disney did. It just left such a bitter taste in your mouth, right?
Absolutely.
It was hard to move on from that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then they bring it back like this, and I'm like just absolutely blown away. And that teaser was purely driven on hype. Like, the whole thing, the whole first 30 seconds is just a row of clone trooper helmets, with all the dialogue from previous seasons of the clones talking and yelling and stuff like that. And then boom, 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 big explosion goes off. And then the Force theme, like the emotional.
Dude, it gave me chills.
Yeah.
It gave me chills.
Yeah, the emotional vibes you get from that single beautiful shot of like of that planet. You see Rex, Anakin, the whole Republic base, and of course Hunter from the Bad Batch, and just the
finally proper render, because we got him in the animation reels.
Yeah, the proxy animation. Yeah, the incomplete stuff. Yeah, the overhead shot or the look up shot of like all those Star Destroyers in the sky, bringing us back to that moment in Attack of the Clones when Yoda says the Clone Wars has begun. It was giving us the same kind of vibes of like, this is it. This is the Clone Wars. This season 7. This is the final season. We're gonna finally see conclusion to the Clone Wars, giving us that visual parallel the way that it kicked off. And I just thought it was so amazing,
It's interesting to see. It must have been a change over that 5-year gap, where a season trailer would give you a lot of the big story elements that were coming.
Yeah.
And then the modern trailer, which was just all hype.
All hype. Absolutely.
All hype.
Yeah, that's a great point to bring up. You can totally tell through the editing, the sound, just everything about this teaser trailer is so different from the other trailers that we watched.
Oh, yeah.
And it speaks volumes as to how it was constructed for the audience, right? This was for an audience that was going to be at Celebration. Everyone's celebrating Star Wars and its existence, being there to be excited about stuff that they were trying to announce, things that they were hoping for, all this and that.
And people have been fighting to bring it back.
Yeah. And they actually used the hashtag that people were using on social media to advertise, yes, like we're bringing it back kind of thing, right? And Dave Filoni himself was on stage, announcing that this was coming back. This was a thing.
Oh man, he must have been so excited about this whole project.
Oh man, I can't imagine how much of a relief it must be for him to be able to have at least finished his show, and like there is still a big chunk missing. I mean, we have the Dark Disciple novel that adapted 8 episodes, the Son of Dathomir comic that adapted 4 episodes, the proxy animation reels that adapted the Utapau, the Crystal Crisis on Utapau arc, the Bad Batch arc as well, which ended up getting finished later anyways. But there's still 20-something odd episodes in that season 7, season 6, season 8 range, where because they're all season 6, 7, and 8 are all, season 6 and 7 are all half seasons, right? And then season 8 was supposed to be a thing. So we're looking at like 20-something plus episodes, not quite 30, but just 20-something that are all like, we have no idea what happens like in like half of those. If it weren't for the novel and the Son of Dathomir comic, we wouldn't know what happens in any of those.
Did they take some of the story arcs from season 8 and put it into the release season 7?
Season 8 finale is effectively season 7.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's kind of
I figured they moved some of that up because they knew they only had one season.
Yeah, so basically so the rest of season 6, because it would kind of cut out halfway through, I imagine would have been the Crystal Crisis arc, the Bad Batch arc, the original Clone Wars Bad Batch arc, right? And then we would also probably have gotten the Darth Maul Son of Dathomir 4-part comic each comic would have been 1 episode. So that would have been all of season 6 in its 22 episode entirety. And then
wouldn't that Dark Disciples would have been season 6?
Season 7. That would have been the season 7.
That was 7.
Yeah, because that was much less adaptive, right? So the Darth Maul ones, I think they had more visual kind of cue as to why it was turned into a comic book. And then with the Dark Disciple 8-episode arc, they just had the scripts. So those were just adapted into. They also had some proxy animation for it because I remember them showing like one clip of it at a convention at one point.
Oh, we missed the Cad Bane and Boba Fett stuff too.
That was in so that would also have been in either season 7, probably, or season 6. So that's what I mean, right? Like there was quite a bit of content that was left out because I think Disney basically gave, or maybe it was Lucasfilm. I don't really know where it came from, but they basically gave, they're like, okay, here's your budget. You could probably do like 12 episodes with this. So, I feel like it's like, okay, what are the essentials that we need to keep this like continuous, keep it, take out all the fluff. Like, what do we not need? What do we need to finish the show, right? At least give people conclusion, give people that tie into Revenge of the Sith that we're looking for.
Oh, man, it's just talking about this. It just makes me feel like I'm watching Firefly all over again.
Yeah. Well, at least we got something, thing. Right? Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. You get cut short on the original story, and then after the fans fight for it, they throw you a bone. They gotta kind of wrap it up as rushed as possible.
Yeah.
So we get half a season for Clone Wars, and then the example of Firefly, they got to do a single theatrical film.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're so lucky to have gotten this season 7. I've still been hoping for. I mean, I've said it a few times before that like they should just take some of those story arcs for unadapted, unproduced Clone Wars scripts that they still consider canon down at Lucasfilm, and they should just make Star Wars like the Clone Wars or a Clone Wars movie or something, right? Like the Clone Wars theatrical release fits into the chronology of the show. It's like, well, what's stopping them from just throwing something on Disney Plus? They do these Lego specials all the time. Like, why not just, give them a budget, make a Clone Wars movie like the theatrical one, but better, and actually on a story arc that would actually fit into the season 6 to 8 range, right? Give us that extra stuff, right? In these, slowly released kind of things. But it's kind of funny that they're doing this new show that's coming out, I think in the fall, or next year at some point. It's called Tales of the Jedi, and it's 6 episodes, I believe, 3 of which tell the origins of Ahsoka Tano and some stories. Right. Yeah, so there's one about her origin before, like when Plo Koon finds her. There's one about her kind of like, I think maybe between Attack of the Clones and Clone Wars or something like that. And then there's one kind of like later, like between Clone Wars and Rebels or something. There is like they're kind of like,
I remember this being announced celebration.
Yeah, and then there's like the Dooku arc as well with 3 episodes with Dooku, Qui-Gon, and that's supposed to be a whole nother thing as well. So but all 6 episodes are tied into this little Tales of the Jedi thing. It's like, why can't they do that with Clone Wars? Like just make like another like, Star Wars fans are great at just kind of figuring out where things go, right? Like, there's no extensive explanation for what Skeleton Crew is. We've
never been given a proper like option for that. It's always been scattered ever since the first 3 movies.
Yeah, right? It's always been scattered, right? Like it's not like they need to go back and say, oh, this is season 6.5 and throw it in the mix, right? Like I would be happy if we just get the show in its entirety, things we can just throw in our messed up chronological viewing order list anyways, right? We got to slot stuff in there. We got to slot a novel in there. Comic book, like I'm just, as long as we get the episodes that were intended to be the 8 seasons, I'm happy, right? I don't care what it is. Like release it as a book for all I care. I don't care, right? I just want to read the story. I feel like I get all fired up about canceled Clone Wars stuff all the time, but anyway, I mean, about the teaser trailers, that was certainly a great one. It got us all hyped up. I remember you being super hyped up as well, because at that point you'd also fall in love with the show.
Fan. Yeah, at this point I was into it. So, and it's funny because I got into the show and it had already been canceled, and you get to the end of season 6, that half season or whatever, and you're super bummed, right? Because you want to know what happens next.
Yeah.
Because there's such a big jump between that and Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So they finally announced season 7, we're going to throw you a bone. And like, I was super stoked about it. This was the only season where a trailer came out where I was already a fan.
Yeah. So. Right. There you go. You got some personal connection to this one.
That's right. It was good. And it like I said, they did it right. They went for the nostalgia. the hype, right?
Oh, the hype is real.
Yeah, it got you excited.
Oh man, it did what it was supposed to do, and I feel like it's definitely because of that. It was one of the best trailers of its kind because it had this pre-existing relationship with the fans, so they didn't need to show a whole lot, right? And it's a small season, so they didn't want to show a whole lot either. But and there was a trailer that did follow that initial teaser. That was the first thing that we got, like, in the spirit of what we're doing with the sub-series, showing us the first teaser trailers that we saw. There was later like a story trailer that was released that did see the whole Maul versus Ahsoka thing, on a teaser trailer format. But that was what people saw, for the first time when this season was announced, and next level kind of that did it in. That was all they needed. They just needed one shot, a title card, and a bunch of stuff that made it look cool. And, the hashtag is a nice touch at the end. So,
Side note, I just realized that you remembered Star Wars Christmas special, the holiday special, but you forgot Star Wars Rebels.
As I was like smashing, so we rearranged some scheduling around with when we're doing this book review. So I was last minute pulling this stuff out of my rear end, trying to put together a docket like within 30 minutes of doing this recording. So hopefully it came together all right. And I am looking for. I knew it was going to be a two-parter because we got Mando, Book of Boba, Andor, Kenobi.
All the new stuff.
The new stuff. I mean, not to mention, I didn't want to leave Star Wars Detours out, which also fits within our it has a unique place, shall we say, within this sub-series. And of course, all 4 seasons of Star Wars Rebels. So, and Star Wars Resistance.
What about Robot Chicken? The Star Wars stuff.
I did consider that.
The Family Guy Star Wars trilogy.
I did consider that, and the only reason why I didn't put it in is because it's not really directly from Lucasfilm. That's the only reason why it's not in this list. Yeah,
because I feel like that and Detours are all kind of like the same pot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they kind of are. Yeah. They fit within the parodies genre, which I think we could do our own. I mean, throw in Phineas and Ferb in there. There's a ton of Star Wars parodies we could throw in.
And Seth Green did all 3 of them.
Yeah. What a guy.
Really like Star Wars. We got
Fanboys.
Podcast.
Fanboy. I mean, we got to do a parody episode where we just go through.
Fanboys. I had that on DVD.
So good, man. So
good.
Dude,
that was such a good premise. I love that movie. Break into the ranch.
We gotta, write it in our future subjects for the show. We got to get around to doing these parodies and the other thing you mentioned earlier, which I'm already blanking on now.
I said we need to watch the Gandhi series.
Gandhi's, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Gandhi's and parodies, and second part to this sub series.
Except Gandhi's not parody. Don't group them together. They don't be canon yet.
Different subjects. Any last things you want to bring up on the show?
Just it always gets me hyped to kind of see where we're at, and hashtag save Clone Wars again.
Save Clone Wars again. All right, man. I guess we'll catch you in the next one, and may the Force be with you.
All right. Yeah, we'll see you out there. Keep flying.
All right, to all you guys at home, we really appreciate you tuning into the show, especially on a weekly basis. If you're one of those loyal listeners of ours, we'd love to hear from you. So shoot us an email, swescapepodcast@gmail.com. You're also very much invited to send us a voicemail at our SpeakPipe address, also listed in the description of every podcast episode available to you, which, speaking of which, we've got over almost, I think we're hitting 210 episodes or something like that soon, which is going to be really exciting, or maybe this is it. I've lost track. But more recently, Deleted Scenes. We finally finished that sub-series by covering Solo and the Clone Wars theatrical release, and a subtle mention to Rogue One in the Anthology Films Deleted Scenes episode. Lightspeed number 21 covered the Lights and Magic and more Star Wars news. And before that, we had our favorite moments from the prequels with Ben and Ellen and Kenobi Look Back, as well as a brief update on the Andor television series coming to Disney+. So lots of stuff to look forward to from Star Wars Escape Pod. Like we mentioned before, we'll get around to covering those Gandhi, is it Tartakovsky? 2D Micro Clone Wars series. We're gonna cover that. We're gonna cover that eventually. Do our own dedicated episodes per volume there. And look forward to a second part to this sub-series, journeying you through time, looking at all of the Star Wars teaser trailers that we've been exposed to as the years have gone by. It's been a very special, unique experience to see the evolution of marketing delivered to us, taking us from the days of the holiday special all the way up until Star Wars The Clone Wars. Going forward, we're going to be covering Star Wars Rebels, Andor, Kenobi, Book of Boba, Mandalorian, and potentially... Oh, Bad Batch. How could I forget Bad Batch? And potentially some more stuff if it comes out between now and then. So, link to the Discord is in our description as well. Feel free to join the Discord. It's been a while since I mentioned that. Follow us on the Twitter with @SWEscape Podcast for daily Star Wars tweets and updates and notifications when a new podcast episode comes out. And there is an Instagram as well. Same thing, @SWEscape Podcast. We'd love to have you guys follow the socials, and we'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you.